Hi everyone, welcome to AI Plus Power 2025, proudly presented by Business Go Virtual. This is Nia, MC of the day. We are about to kick off our first session with a really exciting and timely topic, green finance driving AI innovation for sustainability. This panel discussion is powered by Friends of the Earth, Hong Kong. As you may know, Hong Kong has set a bold goal to become Asia's top green finance hub, but getting there isn't easy. Emerging technologies like AI are playing a huge role in overcoming big challenges like greenwashing, fragmented data, and high compliance cost. We're lucky to have some amazing experts with us today who will share how technology and sustainability can come together for a real impact. Now, let me introduce the expert who will be leading our discussion today. Moderating this panel is Mr. Plato Yip, Chairman of the Board, Friends of the Earth, Hong Kong. Joining him, we have four distinguished panelists, Mr. Victor Yim, Head of Fintech, Hong Kong Cyberport. Ms. Alice Suen, Managing Director, Head of Sustainable Finance and Transition, Hong Kong HSBC. Ms. Sophiya Chiang, co-founder and CTO, Deploy. Mr. Ashutosh Goel, CEO, xalts. Please join me in welcoming Plato and our panelists to the stage. So now I shall pass the time to Plato. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to all of you. You guys awake? I was here sitting just downstairs like you guys yesterday, and I learned awful lot about AI. I myself am a traditional financial guy. AI to me is kind of really far away, but I am trying to study in order not to become an AI refugee. Okay. Yesterday, there are some AI native, some AI migrant. Now today we have all the stars here that I'm gonna introduce to you one by one. But thank you very much for coming to this section, and thank you, the organizer, for giving us this opportunity, this platform, to share with you guys something that is so close to our hearts, which is green finance, how AI can cross over with green finance and help Hong Kong to sustain its center as the hub of sustainable finance. Now, let me begin with this. Hong Kong has set an ambitious vision to become Asia's leading green finance hub. How can emerging technologies like artificial intelligence accelerate this transition while addressing some critical issues like greenwashing? Okay, Friends of the Earth, we are very much aware about this greenwashing thing, about data fragmentation and costly compliance. These are some serious issues that we have to address before we can go into this AI capability. And I'm very happy that this very high-level panel today, we bring together Hong Kong's top fintech innovators and finance leaders to explore how AI plays a transformative role in addressing this world's most pressing environmental and social challenges. And hopefully we can align with profitability and sustainability. Okay, without further ado, let me begin with Victor. Victor is a good friend of mine. First, I turn to Victor, head of Fintech, Cyberport. He needs no introduction, I'm sure. Cyberport incubates AI/blockchain startups tackling ESG data silos. What's missing in the current tools in your view, and how can Hong Kong incentivize open ESG data sharing? Victor.
Well, very big topics. So thanks again for Plato for inviting me, and we're glad to be here again. Actually, last year we were focusing on SME, and this year is AI. I guess echoing particularly to your questions, I talked with a lot of industry people about some sort of like SME open data for ESG and green related data. So some of you might have heard of the green print that the MAS Singapore is doing. In fact, I was trying to put together some sort of similar initiative in Hong Kong. So I talked to a few people, like some of the startup is trying to do that. We also know the tech partner who actually helped build Greenprint in Singapore. And of course, some other regulators. I think the problem will be the real business model rather than the technology. So from what I've heard, even in the Singapore version, even with the backing of MAS and all these, it wasn't very successful from the adoption perspective, from the real impact perspective. So I guess for in a lot of these technology startup or great ideas, in a lot of cases, is lacking the real business case. To a certain extent, is where are the win-wins? So just like you mentioned this open data, one of the kind of global topics is also like open banking. We have different jurisdiction having implementing open banking differently. Like I'm sure Alice can talk more about that. But in our case, we are more democratic in the open banking implementation. So the banks are kind of having their own choices of doing what they deem to be appropriate. But some other jurisdiction is mandatory, right? And I would say probably the mandatory one will be easier, but doesn't mean that will be successful. Because even if you force the banks to open all their data, I mean, if there's no very good use cases or business cases, after all, it's still just like wasting the money of the IT of the banks, right? So I guess, especially for some of our startup in the area of green, they might be like expert from like environmental science, they might be expert from the AI, and some of those are expert in the finance area or green finance area. But in a lot of cases, you seldom have people that are expert in all these areas. So I would say in a lot of cases, they create some products which in theory is very good. But because they doesn't really understand the other pieces of the puzzle, so as a whole, it doesn't really connecting the different stakeholders that allows the win-win or the benefit to really flow around to create a significant impact. So that's why I guess without going to specific technical area or green area, I think collaboration is still lacking. And also, just like before we start the panel, a lot of these good company, of course, a lot of those are from Cyberport. They are still not very well known. Just like I just told Alice, one of those company, she doesn't know yet, which I will definitely introduce after this panel. But we need even more, like as government, we need even more work to do to support these firms to be exposed, not just, of course, not just to Hong Kong, not just to GBA, but really to the world, to show how good they are and to get like international business and connectivities.
Thank you, Victor. I'm sure, I mean, Victor, Fintech head at Cyberport. Yesterday, I learned there are actually quite a lot of talents in Hong Kong, and we do starting to gain visibility in the world. And the Hong Kong government is subsidizing or providing incentives for startups. I think you are right that we need multidisciplinary collaboration in order to make something impactful. And I hope under your good guidance that all the incubatees in Cyberport, we can start to see more and more unicorns coming out from Hong Kong soil. Okay, thank you again, Victor. Next. Let me turn to Alice of the big bank, HSBC. Alice, many businesses, particularly smaller ones, they face, like SMEs, okay, they face significant challenges in gathering necessary data to assess sustainable finance, for example, from your bank. So based on the bank's interactions with clients, What do you see as the key factors behind these challenges for businesses in Hong Kong and across the region you serve? And how's your bank supporting businesses in overcoming these obstacles? And what kind of role do you think AI can play in addressing these issues? Thank you, Alice. A lot of questions for you.
Thank you, Plato. Yeah, quite a bit of questions, but I'll try to address one by one. Thanks for having me here. As you know, just basically touched by Victor, as we are a banker, right? So AI is something that we are still learning, and we are very keen to support this because my personal feeling is AI, digitalization, and sustainability are very close collaborative element. We cannot just move sustainability on our own. We need to leverage AI. Why is that? I think kind of go back to the question that Plato you asked. A lot of business in Hong Kong are actually smaller business. In Hong Kong, there are over 335,000 SMEs, if my number is still up to date. And HSBC support over 300,000 SMEs. So that means in our bank, SME is a very core business portfolio, and we are very dedicated to support them. So let's go to the challenges first. So we need to understand the challenge before we can address them, right? So if we talk about sustainability, in order to get on that journey, the customers, for the bigger ones, they usually have their ESG teams, they have resources, they have the talent, they have the capacity within their own organization to tackle the reporting requirement, to tackle the disclosure requirement. They are able to structure the sustainable finance transaction and work with the bank. But SMEs, they don't. A lot of them are family business. A lot of them only have like 5 people in their organization. So how can they afford it, right? With all these new things happening. Even myself have been in the field for a few years. I find myself have been learning every single day because the requirements change all the time. And the standardized are not harmonized yet. So one of the key challenges is definitely reporting. That reporting requirement currently in Hong Kong, we are in the front foot. So Hong Kong Stock Exchange actually require all the list code to start reporting S1 and S2 IFRS starting this year, and next year will become mandatory. So it looks like it's not really a question for smaller company, but is it true? For the bigger companies, in order to meet that requirement, they need to gather all their data points from their supply as well, because it's all about supply chain. So in order to report the scope 3 later on, of course now it's currently on scope 1 and 2, but they need to get prepared for scope 3. So for scope 3 is everything else, right? So that means the entire supply chain. So SME is part of it. So how can we actually enable SME to do reporting? To them, as I just mentioned, it's a very small company with a few people. So in HSBC, we understand that partnership is key. We cannot act on our own. We cannot afford to use banker resources to support them because we are not the experts. So we have chosen to collaborate with some of the really good ecosystem partners in the communities. For example, one of the companies that we just talked about before this panel is Diginex. So Diginex is a disruptive blockchain technology company. Actually, they just recently listed in NASDAQ as well. They are using a blockchain technology to help the smaller companies do ESG reporting. So it's very easy. They just need to basically get on that platform, plug in a few numbers, and they have a few templates for them to choose from. And also, they have a good, very good integration with the company's ESL program as well, so they don't really need to build something new out of it. They just need to integrate. And if it is HSBC customers, in order to if it's HSBC customers, if they join Diginex service, they also will be able to enjoy 50% discount. So just do a small promotion here. So HSBC is dedicated to continue to find good partners to support clients on that. And also, Plato, you mentioned about green finance. So apart from reporting, what sort of things we can collaborate with the companies to actually help them to get financing, to do more sustainability enhancement, right? If they do not have the money, how can they continue to make energy more efficient? How can they replace their lighting or aircon system, right? Everything in the SME construct. So we have also partnered with EcoVadis, one of a very big and one of the most, I would say, well-established ESG rating performance company in Europe, so that our customers can just get on that platform they need to report around 20 criteria of elements, of data elements. And with that rating, they'll be able to subscribe to our sustainability improvement loan. So on that, they do not need to deal with multiple KPIs. They don't need to deal with multiple sustainability performance tracker, but just use one single KPI, which is the ESG rating of EcoVadis, to get funding, to get financing, so that to help them to enable their sustainability journey. So that are those two examples to showcase how we are supporting the smaller companies to get financing and also to get on the journey.
Wow, Alice, I mean, it's heartening to know that the large banks like HSBC is working with startups and providing better services. And I'm your client, and my company is your client. And I like to introduce more of my clients. Since you talk about a lot of great initiatives the bank is doing, I think this naturally attracts more clientele to your bank. Congratulations, Alice.
Thank you. I look forward to referrals.
Yeah. Okay. Next, I would jump to Ash first. XALTs. Okay. Now, allow me to briefly introduce you what XALT does. Okay. In case you don't know what they do, XALT is a provider of investment technology platform that offers AI agents for automating financial operations. And they work very closely with all the banks, major financial institutions as well. Ash, here's the question. Greenwashing remains a major concern in sustainable finance. And can AI help in mitigating this risk by validating underlying data in a very timely and cost-efficient manner to secure transparency and accountability?
Thanks for having me. So greenwashing, I mean, the problem is information asymmetry, right? Like, if somebody reports, if a company reports a certain type of data, how do you validate it? Today, it's a lot of human work to figure out like what is written here. I'll have to go to underlying data sources if I have to independently validate those pieces, right? So that could be I have to read all the filings by the company, the media they put out, the social media, what are others saying about the company on the internet, in the media, all of those things. But also, let's say you run a supply chain. Independently, we now have enough satellite data, marine data, all of those pieces, but it's very expensive to independently validate those pieces and bring it out. Now, what AI is able to do today, especially with a combination of, let's say, specialized models, which are literally, you could have a model which knows how to interpret satellite data, but also just generic large language models which are put out by OpenAIs and Googles of the world, which can read massive amount of reports, filings, things which are put on the internet. And they could be custom trained to figure out what this particular company is saying in the actual filing versus what is out there, to be validating the underlying claims that, okay, this is sustainable or not. So that's where AI, I mean, that's the easiest use case, and that's something we have seen happen more and more, that it used to be a lot more expensive even for, let's say, independent auditors to do this kind of work. And now it happens in minutes. So you can customize some of the agents to just look at, let's say, company X and keep searching, keep validating just like a human would have done, and put out reports and put out independent claims or cross-validate what was out there. So we've seen that happen, and now the cost of that is cents on the dollar. So that has, to a very large extent, put on some extra layer of verification, which was a lot more expensive. So before, you really had to be a large company or a very motivated, issuer to be able to do this, or a very large bank who could afford a team of hundreds of people who were doing this. Or you would go and, hire a third-party auditor to do this. All of that is a cost to the issuer and investor. And that sort of was the gray zone in which greenwashing played its role, right? Like, because if I say something and you're not able to validate, that's where a lot of greenwashing would happen. Now, if you say something and I'm able to validate, and I'm able to validate fairly real time, very quickly, the incentive to do the greenwashing is a lot lower. So that's where we have actually seen the easiest of use cases when it comes to sustainability and AI.
Wow, thank you, Ash. You actually let me think about. I also sit on a number of investment committees for Hong Kong government. In Hong Kong, except the exchange fund, which is a huge fund, Hong Kong government does have some different silos of fundings for education, for example, for environment, for example, for sports and recreation, example. And we, sitting on the investment committee, we contract out bigger financial institutions like Templeton, Amundi, HSBC to help us manage our portfolio. And we tend to ask them to look up the ESG portfolio, and very often they will come back with it's difficult to validate whether these guys are serious about ESG or not, whether the data is greenwashed or not, stuff like that. But I think AI, with the help of AI, this is becoming a lot more easier these days. So I should probably push more the fund managers for Hong Kong government to look more seriously into ESG portfolios. Thank you, Ash, for your comments. Sophiya, Deploy, if I may introduce Deploy. Deploy is a global intelligence network, combines human expertise with AI to provide insights into, not startup now, Sophiya just told me, private market opportunities. Sophiya, private market research in Asia faces significant data fragmentation challenges. So in your opinion, how can AI solve this unique challenge of conducting thorough research, particularly on green investments where eligible ESG data is scarce? And what pattern have you observed in how AI can bridge information asymmetries?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and for the question. I'm going to break it down a little bit. So on the data fragmentation challenges that we're facing in Asia is very unique to our region because of how many different places are encompassed in this. So there's the language barrier, the culture, regulatory environment changes. That is also why we cannot achieve that true cooperation between different stakeholders, as Victor has mentioned. And part of that is because you have a lot of siloed data across different countries and across different sustainability topics. So let's say a sustainability expert in Jakarta, for example, can just comb through that data, have it verified, and understand that, oh, this is real or this is not. Whereas AI can give you a mass amount of data, or they can comb through mass amounts of data and give you a report and allow you to understand what are some of the patterns that exist amongst a huge corpus of information. But if you only employ human experts, their capabilities are inherently capped because they can't scale, right? At one point, maybe you're looking at one or two projects. The human capacity is limited by time, and you need to sleep, you need to eat. Whereas AI can then augment what humans are inherently good at in consolidating their experiences and having intuition towards certain information. So at Deploy, what we're trying to do is to use AI as a force multiplier of human labor. We take the insights from different geographic expertise, having hyper-localized information, and then transforming that into global context, and using Hong Kong as a home base, which gives us a lot of advantages in accessing all of these disparate Asian markets, and then putting them all together so that private market investors can then get unique information advantage and insights.
You sit right in the center of the International Financial Center here, so huge opportunities for your firm. And you see, we got really talented entrepreneurs that is doing great jobs. I hope this is the first round of questions, and I really thank the experts sharing a lot. Before we go into the next round of questions, let's park their views by now, and we will come back perhaps in the second round. I just want to ask the experts in the next round of questions, looking ahead, how Hong Kong maintain its position as Asia's green financial hub. Now, that is a big matter. That is a big matter that's close to all of us. Okay, we live in Hong Kong, we work in Hong Kong. We want to see Hong Kong develop and strengthen our position as an international financial center. And now we have a good friend called AI, okay? A new friend. So this new friend is going to help Hong Kong to strengthen our position. So I want to discuss with all the experts what innovations in AI do they see that could play a pivotal role in this development, it is benign development for Hong Kong. Victor, again, Cyberport first. With your expertise in fintech, how can AI tools help financial institutions identify and channel capital, lots of capital, okay, moving towards sustainable industries and technologies? Now, yesterday we heard the government is taking aside 3 billion Hong Kong dollars to support startups, technology companies. And what role is Cyberport playing in this transformation? Victor.
Thank you, Plato. So I guess, first of all, I should talk a little bit about like AI by itself, like why Hong Kong has uniquely positioned ourselves. So like Cyberport, we help the government to build the AI supercomputing center. Since my colleague Christo is here, so I also need to advertise this a little bit. So we have like 3,000 petaflops of processing power. That is to support the R&D and even commercial strategic projects within Hong Kong. But because of that, actually we have the opportunity to meet with a lot of Chinese AI firms. They all want to leverage Hong Kong as their springboard to grow overseas, to grow to the international market. And at the same time, we are also lucky because we are in Hong Kong. So to a certain extent, like not entirely free, some of those still need some tricks, but in general, we can access to all the models in the West as well. So Hong Kong is kind of like the only place, almost like only place, that you can have access to the AI resources for both the West and the East. And of course, we have our very good university. So including my own Hong Kong University, we are doing a lot of very practical as well as deep research on AI. That can also really supporting the overall development and the ecosystem. So I guess for AI, we have this unique position. That's why at the same time for green tech as well. So you are the expert more than myself, but you obviously witness all the like the best, most of the best like EV and solar, etc., etc. The leading green technology is pretty much all from China, and so Hong Kong again with that, like just like last week, we got this big battery company listed, right? So that's the pretty straightforward way of showing like how we can channel money to sustainability project. And of course, talking about fintech, that's the IPO is the traditional way. Even that, I think there's a lot of good tech already helping to streamline the process to make it faster. Just like I saw one of the Cyberport portfolio company helping like IPO due diligence using AI. So I guess even with this like traditional way of channeling money IPO, there are a lot of different process that can be streamlined by AI and make the both faster and minimize the cost, the overhead. So I think that already helps. But then we also have other like we now launching stablecoin. I think stablecoin also helps money flow much faster, and the friction as well as the cost also lower. So yeah, I mean I was in Dubai last month, so they also are launching their stablecoin, and they actually have the eDirham launch by end of this year. And a lot of those, the fintech and the financial institution there are also looking into collaboration between our stablecoin and their stablecoin, because both of our currency is pegged with the US dollar. So it's actually very easy to having this channeling of money through stablecoin and so on. And also we have a very successful company using like tokenization. Actually, what he told me the best way of using tokenization is not to mention tokenization. So all this should be the back-end technology. But eventually, it is a platform that connects also like private markets. So they focus on alternative investment, including like green infrastructure. For example, EV charging stations, for example, solar farm that have very good like earnings, and they package it into some sort of a fund, and then using their platform to distribute it into private investors. Whereas usually these kind of projects is only accessible for like ultra high net worth or institutional investor. But because of using this efficiency gain technology, wherever it's blockchain or whatsoever, that doesn't matter. Whether it's AI, it doesn't matter. But then it's actually channeling very good project to those who want to invest. And they told me actually, even the big like private bankers are willing to share the customers because they have good asset that even these big names, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgans, do not have access to. So they want to share their customer with them just to show to their customer, oh, we have something that you cannot get outside. So I guess this is another example of like how fintech can channel like money flows into green projects. And yeah, I mean, the example can go on and on, but I don't want to steal all the time, but that's just some of my experience.
Yeah, Victor, you know, look at this young professional, this young man, okay? He's definitely a star in the making. And stay tuned, and I think Cyberport is going to generate a lot more unicorns. Stay tuned, right? Can I count on you?
Of course. Just now, Alice mentioned Diginex.
Yes.
It's kind of like I started to work with them like 3 years ago. I really witnessing how they got listed, and then their stock price is like 30 plus. And now it's more than a $1 billion US valuation already, and just started their first acquisition, announced, I think, last night.
So some solid and real things happening in Hong Kong soil.
And it is a green fintech.
Yeah, congratulations. Okay, I want to jump to Ash now. A short question for you. How can a agentic AI platform like xalts enable the acceleration of green finance initiatives?
So the first thing you asked me, right, like how can this underlying verification happen? So that's one part, that you have a lot of this data, and each company might be doing things uniquely. So you can customize AI agents very uniquely to, let's say you want to track every company listed on HSI, but every company on HSI might be unique or in clusters. So what a bank does versus what a manufacturer versus what a real estate company does, the type of data you would be looking at analyzing will be completely different. The kind of underlying models to analyze all of that would be different. And you can customize these agents to effectively comb through a lot of that. And that reduces a lot of the costs to the end investor. It also gives them a lot of, let's say, confidence to be a little bit more aggressive and deploying a lot more capital into these investments. But also, on the other hand, right, like as Alice was saying, that in a lot of jurisdictions, reporting is either mandatory or expected or semi-mandatory in nature. At least for the large listed companies, that's already happening, give or take. That's also a very big cost to the company itself to be able to do this. And let's take the example of like a very large construction or a shipping company which needs to make all these filings. They would, just because there is this new requirement to file, if it has to be done manually, you're looking at like 10, 15, 20 additional headcount just to do all these filings. And that's just additional cost. Agents can basically supplement and create a lot more productivity around all of these filings and preparation of data which needs to be filed. That's one part. But also, if you go one layer below in the SME world where Alice was saying, which is where the real challenge is, because you don't have enough people or enough incentive, and which is why if you're not able to present the data, you're not going to get the financing either. That is where agents can really rise and shine. It's still a little early. It's probably going to be the big guys first, and then as agents and models get trained a little better, it comes to SME. But what I'm talking about is the next 18 months. I'm not talking about the next 5 years. This will happen in the next 18 months.
Thank you, Ash. You want to chip in?
I want to chip in because I know a bit of what Ash is doing. And also echoing what Alice said, and probably you also mentioned, like the supply chain data is really important. And Ash is actually, apart from the fancy agentic and all that AI that he's doing, he is actually connecting supply chains, like big corporate, banks, and also the supplier behind the big corporate. Like only if you have all these all connected, you can have all this data being flow through and then eventually supporting the reporting as well as the green financing.
Yeah, thank you, Victor, for chipping in. Now, I had an
right.
opportunity to have a breakfast with Salt some time ago. I was so impressed about, he's got a beautiful mind, he's a top-notch entrepreneur, and I'm really glad that you stay in Hong Kong and develop your business in Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And okay, let's go back to the bank. Alice, leveraging AI to process ESG data, you mentioned ESG data, requires a standardized data framework. You also mentioned about the different taxonomies, different regulations, and how to ensure accuracy and consistency. What steps can be taken to promote this standardization? Your views, please, Alice.
Yeah, thanks, Plato. I think Victor just hit on the right word, the connection, right? Hong Kong is the super connector, super value adder. So we need to add on that spirit. I totally agree with Ash. Like the supply chain is the key. So in HSBC, we focus on supply chain. So what I have just shared around EcoVadis is just exactly an example to showcase we are supporting that supply chain data collection. Because if we just ask the SME to give us the data, first of all, they don't know what to give to us. They don't know how to give to us. They don't have the resources to give to us. So we collaborate with the partners, the ecosystem partners, for example, EcoVadis, and also a few others. I'm going to talk about another one, which is also supported by Cyberport, on collecting those data. So they doesn't feel like they're supplying those data because we try to make them easy by using a platform. And then they are just going through a list of questions, and of course they need to upload their documentation to avoid greenwashing risk. But as a result, they also get incentive. For example, once their rating get into certain level, basically the buyer will say, oh, you are in my supplier list. Or else, they are also facing a risk of being kicked out from the supplier list because if they are highly emitted, if the numbers doesn't fit the requirement of the buyer's standard, the buyers will also have to evaluate whether that supplier is worthwhile to stay in that supplier list, right? So that incentive kind of coming from that angle rather than giving them real cash subsidies. But going back to some subsidies, I will have to compliment Cyberport because they have been doing a lot of great stuff. For example, they have been running the Green and Sustainable Fintech Proof of Concept program. Victor is so modest, he didn't mention it. I'm going to mention it because they and FSTB have been running this and provide the funding support to the fintech companies so that they will be able to put their concept into reality. Sometimes for fintech, right, we have to apply the fintech mindset. In the old days, we have to plan a really big project, make sure end-to-end are all thought through before we start working on it. Now we have to try to do proof of concept. We have to do pilot because we don't have that much resources to deploy on everything, but we need to try. If we don't try, we don't know. Another thing that Cyberport is running is the FinTech Supervisory Sandbox 3.1 pilot, and that's also supported by Hong Kong MA. This project has been supporting a number of different companies, and one of them is DigiNext that I have already mentioned. Another one HSBC has sponsored is called Meotech. So Meotech is ESG data as a service company, but they are transforming themselves into the ESG rating space as well. So we have been sponsoring them into these two programs, so hopefully they will be able to expand that capacity. And going back to what HSBC is doing to get on, helping customers to get on the sustainability journey is we have a dedicated innovation banking team. The innovation banking team was established 2 years ago, well, 1.5 years ago. And we do have a dedicated venture debt credit solution team, which we are dedicated to provide very innovative and creative solutions. For example, we are able to take equity warrants as collateral in order to give them better pricing. We are not looking into P&L only. We are not looking into bottom line only. We are looking into cash flow. We're looking into the year-on-year growth. We are looking into the cash burn rate. So for companies that is beyond Series A, I would say, probably Series B stage, they can come to us and seek for those funding. And we have been supporting a lot of fintech, biotech, green tech companies. So on that front, we're also trying to provide financing in a more, I would say, not so conventional way, but more like an innovative way of thinking how to evaluate whether we can provide funding, right? Another thing is definitely we need to rely on the regulatory aspect because for Hong Kong, it's just one city. Victor has alluded to this. We are part of the Greater Bay, and actually the Greater China is a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of tech companies, fintech, green tech, climate tech in China. So how can we get those data? And that's something that we have been keep on lobbying to the Hong Kong government, to the public sector, because without that data registry being established, it's very hard to get the useful data or decision useful data so that we can apply those into financing decision. So this is something that we continue to work on, and HSBC is part of the ecosystem, as always. Thank you.
Wow, Alex, that's a very powerful statement. I think to me, the bank, of course, you sponsor projects, startups, but I think it's all the more important that you work with the Cyberport, with its tenants, you actually lending out your credibility, your expertise. You're building the ecosystem together with partners in Hong Kong. That's something I value more than just capital. Thank you, Alice. Okay, let me go to Sophiya, the other bright mind here. Sophiya, how can Hong Kong leverage AI-powered expert networks like Deploy, the shop you're running, to strengthen its position as the finance hub? And what innovations in connecting private investors with localized expertise, which is your match, do you foresee as a critical for Hong Kong to maintain its competitive edge?
Yeah, so as mentioned, Hong Kong is a hyper-connected city. We have access to both the West and Eastern markets, but this is also short-lived if we don't act fast. So the point is that we are always working on the defensive. We are very reactive to everything that's changing in the market. We are there to serve as a hub for everyone else. But Hong Kong has a lot of technical advantages. We have geographical advantages that we need to really lean in to be able to leverage. You know, right now we are a top green finance hub. How do we make this the case forever? And so AI is really a force enabler, a force multiplier, and like Ash also mentioned, you know, agentic AI now can parse through a lot of information really quickly. But how do we pair that up with also the knowledge workers that are so fundamental in Hong Kong's economy together to drive some of the regulatory changes that's needed to make Hong Kong more attractive as a city that people want to put money in? And part of that is also establishing more processes after you get the data. So right now, we know AI is really good at collecting data and parsing through data to make it information. But how do you turn information into insights and into action? I think that key part is still missing, and there's a lot of opportunities there for even corporate innovation so that you know, we can see lasting change and continually elevate Hong Kong's position as a finance hub.
Yeah, and I see those are all the opportunities for you, for the bank, you know, for Hong Kong, basically, right? If you look at the, you know, the Greater Bay Area, if you look at the ASEAN countries, if you look at those countries are working very closely with China, especially. Then I just see, you know, Hong Kong can play a really important role to groom all these kind of things through a partnership, through collaboration, through resource integration, through multi-sector collaboration. Okay, I think we have talked about pretty much today's topic, but before we close, I still want to throw one more question to each of them, okay? And really, thank you very much for your sharing your invaluable expertise and insights throughout this section. Okay, one more thing specifically. How can we harness the power of AI or future AI, I don't know how to call it, people are talking about AGI, but AGI is a long road to go, right? AGI is like, think like human, okay? But still, AI has to work with human beings at the moment. Okay, specifically, how can we harness the power of AI to drive meaningful progress? And whether it's a business strategy you can think of, or a policy initiative, or even an individual action you can think of that can make a real difference. Just one example, each of you. Shall we start with Alice first now?
I'll try. Well, actually, I have to give some credit to the financial sectors. In Hong Kong, the banking sectors, financial sectors has been adopting AI with 38% of usage. That is above the global average of 26%. So we're actually ahead of the curve. But 38% is still less than 50, so that's still a lot of rooms to grow. So first of all, I would say we still need to continue to keep that open-mindedness and continue to look into what sort of things we can apply on to support our customers. In HSBC, we are dedicated to be customer-centric and understand customers' need so that we can support them and disregard their size. So another point, sorry, I have 2 points actually. Another point is private-public partnership. It's not on us alone. Banking is just one of the elements in the ecosystem. So we need everyone here, all the talent here, and every one of you on the audience panel to work together because we need that private-public partnership to make this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice, for your insight. Next one.
I could go.
Okay, good. Sophiya?
My biggest worry with all of the ESG reporting and sustainability reporting is that it's all performance theater for bigger companies that can afford it, essentially. Coming from an SME myself, the key here is to really make use of human labor. Like, what are we best at? And turn that into infinite energy, make it infinitely scalable with the power of AI. And this requires more chats between bigger companies and smaller companies, private and public partnerships, and hoping that there's more collaboration, especially from the policymaking perspective, to really engage more people who are working on the ground.
Sophiya, just a second. You prompt me to think about one thing, okay? Now, with the help of our friend AI, okay, is it a lot more easier to make another new, say, a unicorn than before? Before, if you want to grow big, you need all the establishment, all the human resources. But with the help of AI, do you see that now we have a different route, perhaps the easier route?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a lot easier to start companies from scratch now. You can be one person. In my case, we're 2 people, and we've been running this company for 2 years and doing everything on our own because the power of AI is that it actually augments your human capabilities. And that's what's really exciting about this space because it will disrupt our economy. You no longer need, massive bloated fee structures. You do not need, big institutions. You see a lot of startups here today too, like they're doing everything, from the ground up. And that's kind of where AI is both exciting, but also maybe scary to some people because they're afraid that, they might get replaced. And what we're offering is that, this alternative of giving space to the knowledge workers to really shine and turn their insights and experience into better commercial outcomes.
That's a great opportunity. I see, our friend AI can help us all, okay? Yes, Ash, Salt, please, one tips to the audience.
Okay, I'll share more practical examples of what we are seeing, right? Take one of the biggest steel companies in the world or some of the biggest commodity companies in the world which we work with. What we've seen with AI and specifically agentic AI is it unlocks opportunities which we generally in a more human-driven environment, we would not even have considered. So let's say there's a company in Brazil and, just because of language barrier or data barrier or anything else, didn't want to do much in ASEAN because, they have enough opportunity in LATAM. Now with agentic AI, what we are seeing is not just the productivity gains from what used to take me 15 days now takes me 15 minutes from, because initially it used to be, let's say, cross-border trade. I needed to file so many documents, I needed to talk to so many people, and people didn't speak the same language, and different banks were involved, and all of those things. Now, agents are able to do that in a multilingual manner. They're able to figure out different standards and file and all of those things. So there's a lot more productivity, again, time gains, which means eventually for a manufacturer, that's balance sheet gains, which then translate into real dollars. But it also unlocks borders that what I couldn't do before, I'm able to source from different places, probably in a more sustainable manner if that's a criteria. But that's exactly what we are looking at, that what required a massive army of people is no longer the constraint. So you no longer have to be the biggest steel maker or the biggest commodity trader. You could be mid-size, and now AI has just bridged that gap of you don't need 200 people to do this.
Yeah, Ash, I think you also prompt me to think about, AI, our friend, is actually breaking down all the walls, geographical differences, cultural differences, because all of a sudden we can tap into the minds of the Western world or the Eastern world, whatever you want to tap it, and those are really, really valuable experience or expertise that we want to tap through the AI agents to help us. I think that's perhaps a super connector without border. Can I say that?
Yeah, I mean, one of our most used agent is, when you buy and sell metals, usually it's a lot of different emerging markets and people in different emerging markets, right? And people would talk on, let's call it WhatsApp or WeChat or emails and all of those things. So before I would send you an email, you would reply back, and we would, keep doing back and forth and contract, or we would then talk on WeChat and all of those things. Now, people take this contracting agent and just CC the agent on emails, or create WeChat groups or WhatsApp groups. And once we have spoken and agreed on terms of trade, this agent basically just creates the purchase order, sends it to the bank, and does everything for you. So that's unlocking not just productivity, but cross-border collaboration in some way.
Thank you, Ash. Okay, last but not the least, Victor, you are the agent of the AI agent, okay? You are government, you are working very closely with the sectors. Yeah, one more tips to the audience. What do you think? What's the most important part if we're gonna, groom this space?
Yeah, I guess, first of all, use AI yourself. So you can review like how much AI at the personal level that you're using that is transforming your workflow on, I don't know, it could be educating your kids. You put use, for me, it's my part-time PhD study. Like I fully deploy Cursor, for example, and I can build some sort of like a RAG application in less than 3 hours, which a traditional researcher told me that she needs 10 days to do. So that's, I guess, before going into other things, like first of all, you experience that yourself first. And then I do a bit of your work of like kind of echoing what they said. I think like Sophiya said, easy, but I don't think that should be the right word. It should be like aligned with also like Ash thing is more like a level playing ground. So you can, like the smaller guys can potentially disrupt the bigger guy because of AI. And I guess eventually is the disruption point will come on like AI native company. Just like in the past, we have cloud native company disrupting the previous software company. And then we have mobile native company disrupting the desktop company. So the AI native company will be disrupting all these older company, very big giant tech company. So that's kind of my idea.
Wow. Well, I mean, before this panel section, I was worried, this is a very hard topic for me as a layman to digest with, under the guidance of these experts. AI, every single day I'm talking to AI and AI is talking to me. We're like friends, we are equal. And I sometimes see it as a father in the church, okay? I sometimes talk to AI, what the things that I did wrong and then, how can I do better? So that kind of relationship building, the AI becomes a real friend of me now. I think all of you are using AI now, right? So, but the possibility, the capability of AI is unimaginable as the technology advances. And as the businesses are trying to utilize AI to generate more income, more capital, more sustainability, I think hopefully AI would go to a better route to benefit more people around the world. Thank you again to our panelists and their insights today, and to our audience for joining us today. Your engagement is key to driving this meaningful change and propel Hong Kong to sustain and strengthen our position as today's topic termed merging the green finance and AI, how AI can help green finance. Thank you very much again for coming to this section. And thank you, panelists, for your invaluable insights and friendship.
Thank you, Plato.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all panelists for that insightful discussion.